Today we're going to explore fractions with tangrams. Because we're beginners, we are not going to use a complete set. Instead, we're going to use a set that includes only small triangles, squares, and large triangles. You'll see why when we start our analysis. The first step is to tile a square with the pieces you were given. Then, you need to figure out the fraction of the square that is covered with tangrams and the fraction that is not. This is harder than working with regular square tiles. Pause and discuss the challenges of this task and how you might approach it. You might have noticed that it is much more difficult to determine the numerator and the denominator of a fraction when the pieces are all different sizes. We cannot simply count the pieces in this case. We have to figure out the relationship between the pieces first. Notice, for example, that two small triangles make a square. It's harder to tell if there's a relationship between the square and the larger triangle, however. Now, if we look at the small triangles and compare them to the larger triangle, we can see an obvious relationship. The first important step in dealing with fraction pieces that are all different sizes is to imagine changing them into pieces that are all the same, or congruent to one another, like this. We might have the numerator now, but we also need to figure out the denominator of our fraction. Pause the film and discuss the ways that we might approach this. The denominator of a fraction describes how many pieces the entire space is divided into. If you can't tell what that is, try it out like this. What is the fraction of the square that is covered in tiles? Pause and record your ideas. 12/18 is a pretty complicated number. It's helpful to think of a benchmark fraction that is close or equivalent to this fraction in order to better understand it. Take a look at some options. If you're finding it hard to tell, it's okay to shift your pieces around to give you a better comparison, like this. What is a close or equivalent benchmark fraction? Write down your ideas. The next task is to figure out the fractions represented by each color. It's helpful in this case to group like colors together, like this. When you have finished, pause and record your ideas. Finally, you need to figure out the fraction of the paper covered by each shape. You can also challenge yourself by seeing if you can figure out any equivalent fractions. This can be accomplished visually by breaking the space up into other shapes, but you can also accomplish this mathematically by pulling out common factors from both the numerator and the denominator, like this. Now it's your turn. For this activity, you will need a work page, a handful of tangram pieces, and a pencil. Good luck, everyone.